Hey guys, Randy's DIY back. We're looking at a Harbor Freight Tailgater. It's their 700 watt, 900 peak watt portable generator. This one's got Stormcat on it. They can make a green one that's just like it. I think the actual manufacturer is a company called Pulsar. It's a little two-stroke, 2 horsepower, so-called 2 horsepower generator, 120 volt generator. And honestly, the thing's not bad. I run a voltmeter on it and did a min-max, and it only has a 3 volt fluctuation on the output. So really not a bad unit, especially for just running refrigerators or freezers or, taking camping or whatever, if you want to run a light bulb or whatnot. Here's what happened to mine. So we had a severe storm last week and took our electricity out for 7 days. Came out to grab the generator on the first day to power it up and get us a couple of lights and a freezer running so our food wouldn't run. And I pulled the pull rope about 10 times as normal with the Harbor Freight 2-stroke generator that I have. Mine just don't seem to want to crank real well. And anyway, when it did finally decide to crank, this ended up with this. And long story short, basically what happened was I pulled the handle. It started making a terrible grinding, clattering sound inside the recoil starter. And before I could let off the handle to let it go back in and recoil, something grabbed. I'm suspecting that this little bar here must have swung out and grabbed a hold of something inside the recoil starter and locked it straight to the shaft, and the handle ripped out of my hand and snapped off. As soon as it got recoiled up, it snapped off the rope, and of course I turned the generator off and took this cover off. This is a recoil starter cover right here, and there's 4 bolts. 1, 2, there's one behind the red here, 3 and 4. So we got 4 10mm bolts, or you could use a 5/16, and then we got 2 5/16 bolts here. So you can remove these to tilt the tank up to where you can get to this one behind here. So then once you get these 6 bolts out, you can pull this, lift the tank up, you can pull this recoil starter off. And behind the recoil starter, right behind here, you've got all this good stuff. Here's a 10mm bolt and a spring washer that holds this recoil spring in place. That recoil spring winds up around this. This is the recoil starter. The spring was on this side of the string pulley, and then this was the when you pull it, this thing slips out and grabs a tooth and actually makes a motor turn over. But apparently what happened to this one, you can see right here, it got a pretty good lick on it, and I think that's probably what grabbed and made it wind back up. Anyway, it destroyed all this, pretty much destroyed it. You can see this is cracked. The part that winds the rope up is cracked. This is broken. So at that point, I had to have a generator running. I could only come up with one thing that I could do. If you look inside there, when you get that cover off, if you look inside there, you'll see that nut. That's a 9/16 nut on the flywheel there of the motor. So basically what I did with the cover off, I just got my 9/16 socket and hooked onto my 20 volt drill. I've got the ignition switch turned off currently, so, and basically just did that. So hooked the drill on there, put it in Titan mode, which would be turning to the right. It'll crank that sucker right up. That's the way I ran it to power my my lights and TV and freezer. And of course we had to selectively power those things. It won't run them all at the same time, but that's what we did for a week. We ran this little guy for a week, powering our house one thing at a time, basically. I kind of got used to this so-called electric start, It was a lot better than yanking on that pull rope 10 or 15 times every time you got ready to crank it, or sometimes even have to hit it with some ether to make it start. After the electricity came back on, I got to thinking, it'd kind of be nice to have the electric start on this all the time. So what I ended up doing is I took the cover, and on the inside of the cover, it had a long nut in there that this screw, this bolt, and this washer screwed into. It held all the recoil starter together. So after removing all of these internal parts, it left the cover with a female stud, I guess you'd call it, I don't know, in there. And I took a drill bit the size of that 10mm bolt, the threads, and I went through the cover, and that centered me dead exactly on that bolt hole. And once I got the small hole through there, then I turned the cover over, took it to my drill press, and used a unibit, a variable size bit. Just kept going in deeper until I got the hole to where it was just slightly larger than my than my 9/16 socket. And I put the cover back on, bolted everything down, and now I've converted my Harbor Freight generator into an electric drill start. So let's power this thing. Let's see what happens if we hit the power button, and let's throw it over and start. Let's choke and see if I can do this with one hand. Sorry about that. All right, so you guys ready? Did I have the fuel? No, gotta turn the fuel on. All right, so the fuel's on, power button's on, choke is on. Let's see what happens. Now, I'm not sure if I had the camera in the right place when I started it, so I'm gonna do it again. Power on, fuel's on, and put our drill in there. Just that easy. Okay, so just that easy. I mean, it starts so easy now. No more pulling, yanking on it. Guys, hey, look, if you enjoyed the video, if you think this might be helpful for someone that's in need of a generator and their pull rope breaks, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Be sure if you subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified if I have any more videos. Just on another note, if you want to replace this, I think it's Amazon and eBay both have these, and they range anywhere from $15 to $25 for a new recoil starter. However, in my case, I had to have the thing right then, so I went ahead and Randy DIY'd it. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you watching. Have a good day. God bless you.